everybody. We're going to get started with a brief presentation. Great. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm Katie Sherping. I'm the City of Novato's Economic Development Manager. And as someone who loves working in this city and is raising my family here, talking about how this city grows in the future is so much fun. And I'm so excited to be doing that with you all this evening. So we're right in this peak moment for the community to be coming together and having this conversation. So I'm so grateful you're all here, and I hope you all enjoyed the farmers market on your way in or on your way out. We have some incredible vendors. So on behalf of the city, I'd like to welcome you all. Thank you for being here, and I'm excited to introduce Sabina from Good City Company, who's going to be leading our presentation today.
Great. Thanks so much, Katie. I'm so happy to be here today. My name is Sabina Mora. I work for Good City Company, and we've been hired by the City of Novato, along with our partner, Strategic Economics, to help them produce this 10-year economic development strategic plan. And first, I just want to thank everybody here for taking time out of their evening to spend this time with us. We've already had so much engagement already. I'm seeing all the green and red dots around the room, so thank you so much. So a little bit about what we will be doing today is welcome and introductions. We have a lot of city staff here today that have helped put this event together. Just want to mention Katie was just here, but also Claire, your community development director, Carla, assistant city manager, and a lot of other city staff that helped us put this together and to do this work. So thank you very much for being here and for supporting this work. So just for tonight's agenda, what is an economic development strategy? We'll talk a little bit about what it is and what it can do, what the purpose of it is. We'll describe a little bit of the community engagement we've done so far and what we're going to do. And then I want to share some of the data that Strategic Economics put together on existing conditions. And then we'll dive into a few focus areas in the city, areas that we will focus on looking a little bit closer at during the planning process. And then it's really your turn. I know we've already had so much input, so I'm very excited, but we'll be here until 7:30. And so we're excited to hear from everybody and even more people that kind of walk in from the farmers market and more. So wanted to start with what is economic development in general. So economic development is the process of expanding the city's capacity to generate prosperity for businesses, residents, and the entire community. And the strategic plan is the roadmap for the city for how to do that work and what to focus on. Some examples of economic development goals are on the screen. I won't go through all of them, but some common areas are attracting private investment, focusing public investments strategically so you get the most out of public investments, supporting and retaining existing businesses, bolstering local tax revenues, creating jobs, looking at your regional economy and how your city is a part of that regional economy. And also marketing and identity. What is the storytelling and the narrative around Novato? And so those are all different types of goals that are typically included in a strategy. Tonight, we would like to learn more from what you know about Novato, what matters the most to you, and we'll be working on creating a vision for Novato's economic development strategic plan. So the vision is aspirational, and it's a long-term vision, 10-year long-term vision. We also wanted to just kind of set the table around what a strategic plan can and can't do. There's a couple things that a strategic plan cannot do. We cannot control market conditions or broader economic trends. We cannot control property that's not directly owned by the city. We can't control necessarily state legislation. You can advocate for, but you can't control state legislation. You can't force a particular retailer to open here. You can set the conditions for a retailer to possibly want to open here, but you cannot go after a specific retail and force them. And you can't force private property owners to take certain actions. And lastly, a plan can't guarantee a specific rate of return or revenue increases on the city's investments. Because there's a lot of broad market trends that will go into private sector decisions. But so why do a plan? Why do strategic planning around your economy? What a plan can do, you can control what you have control over. So you can modernize, streamline, and look at your regulatory environment to ensure that it's really addressing the problems that you have today and that's not outdated. You can, as a community and as a city, define priorities. So you're being strategic and you're not reacting to problems or reacting to opportunities as they arise. You can understand all of the challenges in your community or better understand them. You can leverage and look at all the strengths, and you could better leverage your strengths when you're talking to potential employers, local businesses. And then lastly, when you have a shared vision for collaboration, as much as possible within reason, because you have a diverse community and there's a lot of different ideas and thoughts, but as much as to the extent possible, having a shared vision, it really helps for everyone to be kind of rowing in the same direction so that when a business arrives here and is looking to open, there's clarity on what the city's processes, procedures, vision, and so it just makes it easier for them to navigate. And since we can't control the market, the cities that most benefit when there are market upswings are cities that have done that initial table setting work around their regulatory environment, their vision. They know their strengths, they know their assets, they know their challenges. So not to belabor the point, but this is a slide that talks about without a strategy and with a strategy. So when a business arrives, and if you haven't done that strategy work, that you might find friction, you might find some bureaucratic barriers, uncertainty about permitting, different directions that the city wants to go in, and possibly less clarity overall. With a strategy, ideally, our hope is that you have implementation actions that lead to more clarity on process and procedures, a shared vision, an aligned regulatory environment, and city staff that is ready to go, ready to support. They know what to do, they know where they're going, and they can help support that business. So I want to talk a little bit about what we've been doing, our team. So we've been involved in the existing conditions analysis of the strategic plan since the beginning of February. And then once we've completed existing conditions, we'll start going to a second phase, which is preparing the economic development strategic plan. In existing conditions, it includes reviewing key city documents, looking at quantitative data on your local economy, and doing a lot of stakeholder meetings that keep us informed about locally what's going on here with local stakeholders. The more information we have, the deeper information we get from community members, from the data, the more that we can tailor policies and programs, best practices to Novato, what will work best in Novato. And so we're exploring those unique assets, those competitive advantages, those challenges, so that when we go to develop those programs and policies, we have as much information as we can have, and we can tailor those programs. And on the community engagement piece, we've already completed meetings or interviews or focus groups with city council members, the Economic Development Advisory Commission members, key city staff, economic development stakeholders such as the Chamber of Commerce and the Downtown Novato Business Association. We've done focus groups with industry and nonprofit leaders, local brokers, and we are doing a community workshop. We have a community survey that the slide needs to be updated. I think we're either close to or over 800 surveys collected as of today. Which is, I've been told, is a record for the city of Novato. That, we recently beat another survey that was like last month. So just it's really, really special to have such an engaged community. This is, you don't see that everywhere. And so it's really, really fantastic. Yeah. Nice job. Yeah. And we're really excited about what we can do given that level of engagement, because you really need that partnership and that input to develop a really good quality, high quality plan. And so we will, once we complete community engagement, we will go to the drafting stage and then come back to City Council with a draft of the plan at the end of the summer, and then put for potential adoption in the fall of this year. So pivoting a little bit to existing conditions. So first I want to mention that strategic economic has been our data engine for these existing conditions. They couldn't be here today, but they did an enormous amount of analysis, and there's a couple of things that I should mention. So they focused between 2013 and 2023 as the study period. That's the most recent data available at the level of data that we're looking at for the local economy. There are things that happened in 2024 and 2025 that might not be captured in the existing conditions data, but we'll look at those separately. For this, we wanted to look at a 10-year period. We're doing planning for a 10-year period, so we're looking at ups and downs in the local economy for the most recent data that we have available. The second thing is that we're comparing Novato. When we do comparisons at this stage, we're comparing Novato to the economic region. And for the economic region, we looked at that as Marin County and as your neighbors, San Rafael and Petaluma. And so when we're looking at a context with some of the data, that's kind of where we started, is looking at that, looking at the local economy, looking at some of your peer cities, and looking at Marin County. And then lastly, the deeper analysis will be, that will be a part of the plan, a part of the draft plan. So everyone will have a chance to kind of, for those data people that love to dive in, you can look at that at a later point. These are some highlights that we pulled just to share with you at this point in time. So to start, Novato's economy and workforce are growing. There's approximately 24,000 jobs in Novato, and jobs in Novato are growing faster than jobs in Marin County. In the study period that we looked at, the 10 years, the median household income in Novato almost doubled. And Novato is adding 2,800 housing units. There's 2,800 housing units in the pipeline right now. So Novato is adding both jobs and housing. There's also a growing number of residents with specialized advanced degrees, almost 30% increase in professional degrees and almost 20% increase in doctorates in that 10-year period. Again, job growth has exceeded Marin County, and so we see Novato as a growing regional employment center. There's concentrations of jobs in specific clusters, particularly manufacturing, life science, and healthcare. When compared to Marin County as a whole. And we found that Novato's economy is very highly diversified. It's not in this, but when you look at the pie chart of the economic sectors, all the pies are fairly equal sized. And so not equal, but relative to what you typically see, there's not a total concentration like you see in some other places. And so it's very diversified, but the growth that has happened in that 10-year period has been in manufacturing, construction, healthcare, and social assistance industry sectors. Wanted to look at what some of the data points to some potential opportunities emerging that we'll look into more through the planning process. One is sales tax growth. So taxable sales are growing faster than in the region, the economic region that we compared to. And so food and beverage establishments in Novato are leading the way for that sales tax growth. For the hospitality sector has not recovered since COVID-19. And we do think that there's some opportunities that Novato can benefit from regional access to a lot of different destinations. But we recognize that there's also competition from San Rafael and Petaluma. And then for growing regional industries, like I mentioned, the manufacturing clusters in life science, or the clusters in manufacturing, life science, specialized construction, and professional technical and scientific trades. These are all growing, and so we think there may be some opportunities, some regional clusters that have potential that could bring additional jobs to Novato in those industries. And then lastly, housing. We see housing as an economic development opportunity and an asset. So there is a pipeline of housing in Novato. Some of that housing will ultimately come to fruition. Some of it might not, because the economic conditions might not quite be there to support those developments. But for the housing that has been approved in the pipeline, that mix has shifted a little towards multifamily housing. And so we really kind of see that as Novato as a community needs to meet the needs of its workforce, and housing is an opportunity to meet the needs of the small businesses, the creative economy, people that need more housing to live in. And employers also look at where future employees are going to be able to live when they're making location decisions, whether or not their workers will actually be able to live in the community where they want to expand or locate. So housing is an important economic development consideration. And now shifting a little bit to the real estate market for retail. Retail is a very, very high priority for this community, for every community, but there's been some very big changes happening in the retail industry. The shift to dining, to experiential retail, and to e-commerce has a really big shift shaping demand for retail. In Novato, when compared to the economic region, the rents are a little bit more affordable. Rents are lagging compared to the peer cities for retail, and there are higher vacancy rates compared to the economic region. And as some of you may already know, some neighborhood shopping centers are struggling to attract tenants, and some of them are doing really well. So Novato's retail market. And lastly, Novato's retail market is supported by a handful of very high-performing retail tenants. For budget, vacancy and rents are also, vacancy rates are higher and rents are a little bit lower than in the economic region. There's 3 new buildings that have been developed for office in the past decade. Those are in Novato. There's a lot of older stock that requires some costly tenant improvements, and that might be some of the reasons that they might be vacant. And existing office that is there, has the potential to attract some small-scale professional services and businesses. For your industrial space, the vacancy rate for industrial space is actually similar to the region as a whole. So there isn't a lag there compared to the region. And all Marin County industrial space built in the past decade, or in the study period, is in Novato. So that's a real strength. And then a lot of the space has been built for the life science and biotech industry. Kind of good to note that sometimes that space is hard to repurpose. So that could be a potential, if there's a big loss of jobs in one of those areas, it could be more difficult to kind of repurpose that space. On the plus side, you may have the benefit of possibly recruiting another employer that could use that space as well. So these are all things we'll be looking more at. And then lastly, zoning restrictions. We found that some of those zoning restrictions in the code really limit tenant attraction options in some of these areas, particularly in industrial. So pivoting a little bit to focus areas, we've identified 7 areas of focus. These are areas that we're going to take a deeper look at, maybe come up with some tailored, specialized, more specific policies and programs associated with them. So I'll just go over them. And our boards around the room in this area, we have a little bit more information that's not in the slides. The boards talk a little bit more about what are some of the strengths and challenges for each area. So I encourage you to look at the boards and give us your thoughts on those. But for the focus areas, downtown Novato, everyone knows, it's a historic district. It's a mix of historic buildings and local small businesses. It has specialty and experiential retail that draws visitors, and it serves both daily needs and has visitation potential. Redwood Boulevard, it's the primary north-south thoroughfare. It connects 101 to local destinations. It connects a couple of shopping centers, hotels, the 2 smart stations, the future development at Fireman's Fund and the Ames Institute. And there's a lot of room for improvement when it comes to walkability and safety and public realm improvements along that corridor. Belmarin Keys, Novato's primary industrial park, home to large employers like BioMarin and Ultragenics. A lot of manufacturing space that is serving one of the clusters that is growing in the city. And it really, I think that there's a lot of room for improvement in terms of renovation, maintenance on a lot of that industrial space. So there are some targeted strategies for the industrial park that the city could encourage to try to better utilize the industrial park. Hamilton Field, it is, we see it as a place of both employment and also culture. So you have Hamilton Hangars, a few historic buildings, a major local employer with 2K Games, the Novato Arts Center nearby, and also the Hamilton Smart Station, which really has the potential to connect. And so we see a lot of assets all around that area that the city could potentially leverage. There is also a lot of vacant space as well. So a lot to work with. City-owned properties. So the city owns a substantial amount of property. There's some of it is in downtown Novato. So how can the city use this property to support some of its key objectives and some of the objectives that the community as a whole supports for future economic development? So it's an asset that can be used, and we'll be looking at how can the city use this asset to meet some of its goals. And some of those things include, looking closely at the train depot and at the community house to see, what objectives can be met there that the city has control over. Underperforming shopping centers. So there's a lot of difference in the different shopping centers and their performance. And so there's some that require some more love and attention, and some are doing well, maybe have a few vacancies. So, the ones that we've identified to look at a little bit more closely, the Square, Novato Center, and NABE might benefit from some tailored strategies. And, one of the big focuses from the community engagement we've learned so far is really, this community really prioritizes retail vitality. So really focusing on that in the underperforming shopping centers and in all of the shopping centers. And then the last focus area is the smart station areas. So it's pretty unique for a city to have 3 smart stations, the downtown, San Marin, and Hamilton. It's the only city in Marin that has 3. And so looking at how the city can leverage these stations and better utilize those to meet its economic goals. And so there's a lot of different types of policies and programs that could go around that, from workforce attraction, transit-oriented development, housing around the stations, connecting neighborhoods. So those are kind of some of the things that we'll take a look at as a part of this process. So thank you for being patient while I got through all of the slides. I really, really appreciate it. So just want to kind of turn it over to everyone. We have staff stationed at all of the posters around the room. And so we really like to get the most feedback we can by having conversations with all of you and having you share on our various boards. The boards are kind of designed to say, I agree with this, I don't agree with this. What have you missed? And so if we've missed things, we really want folks to write it down on a sticky note or on the board itself and just put it on the area where we've missed something, because that'll give us a clue to go look into that later once we have all of this information collected. And so the focus areas are here on this side, the 7 focus areas. Then we have opportunities, challenges, and strengths over here in the corner. And then vision right here by the entrance. And so we really appreciate folks walking around, talking to us, and letting us know, just sharing with us. So with that, see, is there another slide? Thank you. Thank you so much. There's a survey. Feel free to scan the QR code, take the survey. Well, there's also another QR code with a quick 2-question poll on the tables and on the sign-in table. We'd like to know who's in the room. And so it just, those 2 questions are, how long have you lived in Novato? And the other one is, if you're a resident, if you own a business, if you work in Novato. So if you have time with your phones to scan that, let us know. It's just 2 questions, what category. So we kind of get a sense of who's here today. Whether it's people that recently moved here, longtime residents, et cetera. You can also, not to have too many QR codes, but the survey is also on a QR code. I'll leave this on the screen. We're going to take all of this information collected, all this feedback collected tonight, all of the responses on the survey. I think there's like 950 open-ended comments, so we'll start looking at those, and then start working on that draft plan. And as I mentioned before, we hope to release it this summer and have City Council consider it in the fall. And then I must mention, that's really when the work starts on implementation. So I've worked on plans. They have anywhere between 50, one of them had 200 different policies and programs. And so those policies and programs, that's when a lot of the work is ongoing, but a lot of the work will also start. And so looking at how to be a partner with the city, how to support in some of these ongoing implementation items that will be ongoing for the foreseeable future, and tracking some metrics on how the city is doing on that plan. So more on that, at the end of the year and into next year. But thank you very, very much for making the time. I think I feel like I went over, but I really appreciate everyone, and just feel free to come say hi. All the city staff is here to chat too. So thank you very much.